This is being recorded, so if you need to rewatch for any reason, if you missed something, if you want to share with a friend, I'll be sending out the recording later today. In between, since it is being recorded, please mute yourself. We want this to be interactive. You're always welcome to ask questions, but so that there's not a lot of background music, there's two buttons here. You can either find your name under the attendee list and click the little mic, or there's a green microphone on the sidebar of your control panel. If you could click either one of those, that way there's no, dogs barking or keys typing, things like that. If you're having trouble hearing us for any reason, if it's cutting in and out, I highly recommend phone audio versus computer audio. If you are listening with your computer speakers and aren't having any issues, no need to change. But if you are having issues, try dialing in with a phone. You can click on the audio pane, and there's an option for a phone call. And then, like I said, we want this to be interactive. We want your questions answered. So if you have questions for Paul or myself, you can either chat in the chat box here, and we can see that, or you can raise your hand, which is this symbol, and we will see that, and you can ask it verbally or audibly so that you don't have to type it out. Either way is fine with us. So a little bit about the Washington Center for Women in Business. We are funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration to be one of the women's business centers. There's 3 in the state of Washington. We do cover the whole state of Washington, but there's also one in Seattle and Spokane, and we help with women in business, whether you are new to business, if you're in that idea stage, are you just starting out, are you already in business and you're established and you're just hitting a hurdle. And you can see on the screen just some of the things that we cover. We really try to meet you where you are in your business. So the agenda, the goals, the milestones that are set are based on your vision and your passion. We want to help get you there. We do this through workshops like this today, either in person or live or online webinars, but then a lot of one-on-one business coaching and counseling. And our coach, Christine Buckley, would meet with you either in person, over the phone, or on a Skype-type call if you want that face-to-face, so that we can get you where you need to be in business. Like I said, we do cover the whole state of Washington. The first time you meet with us is free for that hour session. After that, it's $25 for the hours after that. If that $25 is a barrier for any reason, we never want that to be, so please contact us if you'd like to hear about our scholarship program. We're really grateful to Thurston, the United Way of Thurston County and Women United to have provided scholarship funds, as well as the Thurston Economic Development Council. And there's our contact information. Like I said, my name is Tracy Hansen. You're also welcome to reach out directly to Christine Buckley or Ryan to schedule. And I won't go over all of these. These are just some of our upcoming webinars. I'll make sure you get all of these in the follow-up email. But yeah, please join us any and all Wednesdays that are applicable to you. And with that, I will get it over to Paul here.
Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. Paul Edwards, author of 10 Secrets to Networking Success, and I'll be taking you through this course. I previously gave this at the InTeam Academy probably a month or two ago. It was very well received, and this is all. I've recently retitled both the book and the seminar. So up until today, the seminar was called Marketing Intentionally: The Digital Guide. And what I discovered through investing in coaching of my own was that I could do a better job of naming things so that more people would be drawn and interested in them. And so that's why this is called How to Create Your Own Celebrity Brand Online. And we're not talking about necessarily Hollywood celebrity, but we are talking about a celebrity where to a certain degree your reputation begins to precede itself. You are in front of your prospects and clients and target market more often than just whenever you happen to see them in person. And you begin to create some degree of gravitational pull, such that people come up to you and tell you how much they love your content, your videos, and your comments, and your posts, and all that kind of stuff. And then you're left wondering, how do I know this person? Tell me your name again. So let's see. Do I just hit page down for the moving slides here?
The arrow key there. Oh, here. Okay.
There we go. Okay, great. Okay, so what you will learn. The first thing we're going to cover here is how to program the social networks, and this is going to be specific to Facebook. I'm learning more about it on Instagram. It does tend to translate over platforms. It's easy enough to find these small instructions that you can give to each network in order to make sure that the people that you want to engage with are consistently on your radar, so that you can consistently be on their radar. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on how to be interesting online. So this does not require being, a world-class Hollywood celebrity with, looks and talent and all that. It only requires, number one, that you do it, and number two, that you get better at it as you learn from mistakes that you make. I say that from personal experience. The third part, I'm going to talk about free blogging to a built-in audience. This is something that leans more towards LinkedIn, but I found you can do it. You just have to do it differently when you do it on Facebook or Instagram. And then I'm going to speak specifically to Instagram, which I see as an emerging powerhouse. Even though it's owned by Facebook, it's starting to, especially with the younger generation, it's taking up much more traction with them than it does with the 35 plus crowd. So those are the four topics we're going to cover. My goals here, if you're new in marketing or new in business, new in the area, whatever the case may be, I want to help you to begin to market yourself online successfully. If you've been at this a little bit longer, you're experienced, you're a veteran, you've been around a long time, and you're just looking for perhaps a different angle to pursue, something that you maybe haven't thought of. That's what I'm hoping to drill home this afternoon. And it's part of what I offer. It's why I wrote the book, and it's why I offer things like masterminds and workshops and all that, is to give people who are already very good at what they do just a different angle from which to view what they're doing. Because often that is where the wheels begin to turn and solutions begin to present themselves that previously were right in front of your nose and you hadn't thought of it. That's what happens for me. That's why I invest in coaching. That's why I encourage you to do likewise. So my goal from this webinar is for you to understand these two things. There really is only one way for you to succeed in marketing and branding yourself online, and that is to do focused, intentional celebrity branding. Okay, celebrity branding is not a trademarked type of thing. It's just something that I'm going to show you how to do. And the only way to learn it is by doing it over and over and over again and making fewer and fewer mistakes, which you can learn to do through my book, 10 Secrets to Networking Success. Okay, so now, how did I get here? Why am I sitting in front of you telling you this? I ignored the rise of social media because I didn't understand it, up until about 2014, when the old marketing methods that I had learned getting into the insurance business began to die off and become largely ineffective. So I was in the habit of drilling the phone, 3,000 calls a week, just phone call after phone call after phone call, and voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. And I had pretty much dried up my pipeline, and I needed to do something. And I didn't want to go out and get a bunch more leads for a bunch more people who were going to ignore my phone calls. And so I invested in coaching. I invested in an insurance agency mastermind, and they taught me, part of what they taught me was how to use Facebook as an advertising and branding tool. So they taught me how to run paid advertising, and they also taught me how to use my personal page to brand myself and to appear over and over and over again in people's psyche and consciousness. right? And what the end result of that was that I was getting calls from the head offices over on the East Coast asking me to appear in internal employee webinars to talk about and demonstrate how I did what I did. And I became the third highest recipient of Facebook-generated inbound requests for insurance quotes throughout this entire company, which I don't know the population of the sales force, but the entire company was 22,000 employees at the time. So there's a little bit of street cred there. This is a few years ago now, but it's an example of what happened when I dug myself into a hole and then turned around and dug my way back out. The other thing is, there's a little bit of the background here, and that is, this comes very naturally to me. I have been a social butterfly and an extrovert all my life, and I've also been a soldier, which means that anything you give me to do, if my heart and my mind are in it, I'm going to do it until it can't be done anymore, right? I'm just describing to you there the mindset that I have and why I've been successful at this, and trying to illustrate for you the degree to which you might have to go if this doesn't come naturally to you. If it does, not a problem. You just go ahead and execute. I was forced to learn the value of this by failure. So this is not me standing up on the high horse telling you you don't know what you're doing. This is me telling you I didn't know what I was doing. I learned how to do what I was doing better than I did it, and now I want to share it with you. By doing this, I created my own personal brand and multiplied sales. And then after a while, I started becoming a sought-after expert on the subject, and people would ask me to come and speak at their functions and their networking groups and all that, and teach what I knew. So originally, this started with networking, specifically in-person networking, which is the main thrust of my book. But I also discovered there was a digital version of this, and it's called celebrity branding. Okay, so there's 4 secrets to this. The first secret is how to make social networks rank you favorably. Second, we're going to talk about how to create interesting content or spur interesting discussions. Then we're going to talk about how to locate your target audience and engage them. And then we're going to talk about when and what to post. So the first one, how to make social networks rank you favorably, is the rule is you engage or you be disengaged. And what I mean by that is, if you're not willing to use social media to your advantage as a business tool, then don't expect it to return the favor for you as a business person. So the way I do this is, I'm just now thinking of it. I wish I could show you this on Facebook. But when you're on Facebook, if you're friends with, let's say you add someone as a friend, someone you met at a networking group, over their main page, their profile picture, there are buttons. They're gray buttons, and one of them you click, and it'll offer a drop down, and it'll say get updates. And if you tick that, Facebook will automatically remember to feed you whatever they post in your newsfeed. Instagram has the same thing. Instagram, you click on the little 3-button icon on the top right of somebody's profile or on top of their profile, and it'll say, I want to say, what does it say? Receive. Let me look here real quick since I've got it open. It'll say turn on post notifications, right? So you turn on post notifications, and then Instagram will automatically feed you whatever that person posts. Okay. So the reason I started using this with just about everybody I met back when I was first learning this, and over time I've sort of chiseled that down because there's been a lot of updates from people that don't interact with me anyway. But with the people that do, I kept that function in place, and I told Facebook, just send me whatever they got, and then I dedicate time during my day, usually about 30 minutes, and I just go through the newsfeed, and I'm on the social patrol, right? I'm checking out what people are posting, and I'm giving it constant traffic. I'm clicking like, I'm adding a comment, some kind of interaction, right? And comments carry greater weight than likes. So if you can be bothered to comment on what people post, by all means, go ahead and do it, because it's going to help their edge rank. It's going to help them show up in front of more of their circle, as well as show up more in front of you. and it's going to increase the likelihood that Facebook will feed what you post to them so that they can interact back with you. And if Facebook begins to detect a steady stream of interaction back and forth between you and that person, both of you get ratcheted up in the overall ranking, because then what Facebook sees is there's interaction here. Let's enhance it, because what Facebook wants is your eyes stuck on Facebook for as long as possible so it can market products and advertise them to you, right? So the other part of this is I call this sailing the social seas, right? And this is just understanding the environment you're in when you're on social media. This is the older the generation, the harder this has been to understand, because of course advertising back in the old days was putting stuff up on billboards and playing it on radio ads and TV ads, and it was very obvious advertising. It was commercial: buy this product, buy this service, invest in this, get this special offer, and that kind of thing. And people still run ads like that on social media. So I'm not saying there's no place for that, but when we're talking about your personal page, right, where you occupy space personally on social media, I want you to get rid of that. I don't want you to do any spamming, putting, get this service, buy this product, buy now, all this kind of stuff. You have to look at the environment you're in and say, if you're on Facebook, for example, I'm in a bar. I'm in a bar surrounded by people socializing, chatting, telling stories, telling jokes, arguing, bantering, If you're on LinkedIn, I'm in a networking group. I'm in a never-ending professional networking group, right? If you're on Instagram, you're at a cultural fair for the millennial generation. And if you're on Snapchat, I think of it more as like a 25 and under lunch haul, although I've since been corrected here by Tracy that there's quite a significant portion of somewhat older generation involved in that too. But the main thing we're getting at here, folks, is that this is time to socialize, not to push a product, right? And if you've ever been in any of these environments, you know that you want to come across as interesting and worthy of being engaged with. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about how you do that. The first thing, obviously, is I want you to distribute engagement liberally. So we're going back to that. I just scroll through, and no matter what people are posting, unless it's stuff that that's hot topic debate stuff, and I don't want to be involved in that because I've already been a Facebook keyboard warrior, and it goes nowhere, so I don't bother with it. But if it's a picture of somebody's kids, their new car. People share all kinds of interesting stuff. They share what they eat for dinner, for crying out loud. And it doesn't cost you a nickel to click like and say, hey, that looks great. Or, hey, that's a really cool car, whatever the case may be. It's the least you can do, right? So if you wouldn't be salesy in real life, don't be salesy online. But be engaging and be lavish with compliments, praise, humor, thoughtful comments. Those tend to go over really well. And then now we're going to talk about your outbound side of this, right? This is where you're sharing you. So when I say share you, some people kind of clam up and they go, no, I'm not telling the world. This is private stuff. I don't want the world to know it. Okay. Again, think back, close your eyes and picture you're in a bar, socializing with people. You're at a party, cocktail party. You're at a gathering at somebody's home. You don't sit there in the corner like this and don't talk to anybody, right? You sit, you mingle, you socialize, and you tell people things about yourself. You don't have to tell them what your social security number is. You don't have to tell them your gross annual income. We're not talking about divulging all of that stuff, but you can say, oh, I enjoy this. I prefer this style of wine. We have 2 dogs and a cat at home. Oh, my kids are, high schoolers, or my kids are in elementary school, or I just got a car. This is the kind of stuff that it's totally okay to share because you already share it anyway in real life. It's just that more people know about it and there's a digital record of it, but it's not stuff that can be used against you later, right? If you're concerned about privacy, be concerned about privacy, but not to the extent that you're clamming up and doing the opposite of what you would do if the situation were not virtual and it was real life. So that's all we're talking about. Be you. If you're on a professional network like LinkedIn, I'm gonna tend more there towards adding value to people. I'm gonna see someone's article and reinforce the point of view about marketing or business or whatever the case may be that they're putting forward. I'm going to blog, and I'll touch on this a little bit later. I'm going to blog about my experiences and share it with the world. And I'm not going to blog about insurance, right, the product I sell day to day. I'm going to blog about stuff that is useful to all business owners, marketers, people going for job interviews. It doesn't matter. There's something of value in that's of value to all of us, and I understand how to write about it and speak about it, then I'm going to share it. And that's what I mean when I say add value there. And a little caveat here, this is the 21st century. It is online. It is the age of offense, which means that if everyone likes you and no one ever gets upset or argues with you, you're doing it wrong. So expect that and delete the comment, walk away from it. Don't engage with it. Had somebody yesterday made the most benign comment that I could think of, and somebody got offended. And I chimed right in and said, you didn't say anything wrong. It's just people would get upset if you share with the world, I had spaghetti for dinner. So just relax and walk away from it. It's not worth engaging with. Okay, discussion topics. Now we're moving into how to create interesting content, right? So we were still on creating interesting content. Latest headlines and trending stories. A word of caution about this: if you don't want, I don't do too much of latest headlines from the legacy media, the major networks and the CNNs and the Fox Newses, because it's all politicized, right? But if there's a new development in technology, if there's new emerging markets in real estate, if there are new investment opportunities, those are interesting. If there's a new delivery of modern medicine that's going to eradicate some kind of disease or dysfunction, something like that, I think those are worthy. Sports is always easy to talk about. Every year I have this tradition now with my friends on Facebook. I start doing a weekly pick'em for the NFL, and NFL's not as popular now because it's been politicized, but we had nonstop engagement from that for a couple of years going, with just people just bantering back and forth depending on which team you supported, and a lot of fun with that. So headlines and trending stories is one thing you could do as a discussion topic. If you can't think of anything else, Facebook on the right-hand side, you'll see what's trending, and you can go through that, and you don't have to necessarily pick a politically divisive story. You can pick some other story that's just interesting across the board. Another thing you can do is, I listen to podcasts all the time. I listen to podcasts of wisdom and monasticism in the Christian faith, and then I hear wisdom that I realize everybody that I know needs to hear this, and so I'll post a quote from it or something like that, and that usually gets people thinking. And you can also, when you do that, you can also ask people, leave a comment or send me a private message and let me know your thoughts. That's been really effective for me recently, especially on Instagram. I found people like to talk about, I know what you're talking about with that topic. As a matter of fact, I've done my own version of that too, and here's what I did. And they like to talk about it. So there's also this little thing called simple traffic boosters. I use this when I'm just playing out of ideas and I don't want to look at top trending stories, and I'm not caught up on my podcasts. You can find these, you can Google them. One of my favorite things to do is pointless debate of the day. So it's a gag to get people, back and forth on a topic that has no consequence whatsoever. So the last one I did, I'm trying to remember what it was. But anyway, several people chimed in on both sides. And to multiply the engagement, what I would do is I would reply to them with the gif of the Emperor from Star Wars sitting there, and it says, "Let the hate flow through you." And people start laughing and they play along with it. So it's a fun way of just getting engagement up and staying, keeping a little bit ahead of the curve. And then there's looking for recommendations. People love to endorse things, but this one you have to be looking for what it is you want, so you can't just post, I'm looking for recommendations for a product I have no intention of buying, so so don't get carried away with that one. Okay. Now, we are going to locate our target audience and engage them. So LinkedIn is extremely useful for this. Back a few years ago, I was really looking to meet a lot of real estate, mortgage, commercial real estate, commercial lenders, all those people where I would be a very natural referral partner as an insurance broker. LinkedIn, you can do this within 10 miles of your address, so it's phenomenal. And you can just, I should do a taped. In fact, I will do I'll have a membership site to go along with my book, and you can buy into that if you want. And I'll do actual demonstrations of this, where you can use the search tool on LinkedIn. You can search by occupation or by company or by region, by zip code. I mean, it's phenomenal. And you can just find all these people that you would want to meet, right? Facebook has pretty good versions of this too. I think Instagram, you can search a lot with hashtags and also their handles if you have a pretty good idea of what their handle might be, but you don't know for sure. Just put in their name. So they all have different uses for this. I will, if it's people that I really want to know and they're all part of a group, or people that I really want to know and they're in a particular group, you can join those groups lots of times if they're open or asked to join them. And you can use that as a platform to begin interacting with them. Though I would caution you again to interact casually and don't get into spamming, don't get into advertising your services. I've been in a couple of groups recently in Facebook, and I've just shook my head and said, no, never mind, and I've left the group. Because it's just a whole bunch of spam posts about, this is our service, this is our product, buy now kind of thing. So be wary of which groups you join on Facebook, but there are good ones. I have one, if you buy my book, where I share just super solid content. There's no spamming allowed. We don't do a whole lot of rah-rah stuff. We'll occasionally say, well, put on your Instagram and Twitter handles and all that, and we'll all follow each other. But other than that, it's content-based, it's educational, it's helpful, it's value-adding, right? So offer content in these groups that's useful to the members. Infographics, Instagram is a wonderful source for infographics if you follow the right kind of people. People will, and an infographic is, just a single image that usually has a contrast of, do's and don'ts, or if you do it this way versus if you do it that way. And that's a wonderful way of simplifying people to help them think about things in a very practical manner. So I have an infographic that I created based on a saying from a friend of mine, which is, if you're in marketing and sales, you're either in the business of making relationships or you're in the business of breaking relationships. And it made a wonderful binary sort of infographic that people could easily say, okay, well, if I'm engaging this person and they already have a relationship, then I'm in the breaking category. But if I'm engaging this person and they don't have a relationship, then I'm in the business of the making category. So there's some other good content as well. You can offer like a free report. You can offer your book, occasionally I do. But for the most part, I don't. I'm just trying to add value first, because adding value always leads to reciprocation. That's the laws of the marketplace, especially around here. Okay, when and what to post. Facebook, I'm primarily interested in business owners, which means that when I get up in the morning, 6 to 8 o'clock, before I leave for the office, I'm usually pretty reliable for posting something. Lunchtime is usually a pretty good time. People sort of check out from work for a bit, and they're on their phones while they're waiting in the lunch line, or they're sitting at lunch eating their meal or whatever. They're surfing around on their phone. And although the workday is still supposed to end at 5, most people are starting to disappear from that mindset and drift onto social media around 4:30. So 4 to 7 is good prime time. That's a good time. Nighttime, that's the night owls. That's when I post, when I get a little bit more risque. I'll do some edgier jokes on Facebook, and there's people that are just up all night. They don't sleep normal hours, and so I've done joke posts, Jeff Foxworthy jokes and that kind of thing late just before I go to bed, and I wake up in the morning and I've got a ton of engagement off of it. So they are out there. If you're doing Instagram, what I do is I try to post around 7 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and I'm not 100% consistent with that. It depends on what my schedule is. I did my 2 o'clock post today. I did before we started this webinar because I figured by the time we get to 2 o'clock, I'm going to be busy doing something else. So it's already up there. But for the most part, I'm trying to do 7 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then if you want to do more than 3 posts a day, you can. But those are the rules I stick to with that. An important note about Facebook content is I don't do a lot of sharing, and the reason I don't is because I want my content being shared. Now, it's not always the case. Sometimes I will find something else that someone's posted, and I'm like, yeah, my people have got to hear this too if they haven't heard it already. And if that's the case, if I can, I'll try to take a picture of it and then repost it as my own. But if I can't do that, if it's a video or something like that, then I share it. But for the most part, I'm sticking to original content on Facebook because I want my content shared and liked and commented on and multiplied. Instagram is a little bit of a different animal. I have been building a following. I have doubled it in the last 2 months. I was at 400 or some odd followers, and I'm over 1,000 now. And in no small part, thanks to sharing content of people who are with very large followings on Instagram, because the way their system works is you can repost something that they've posted and use all of the same searching hashtags that they've used, then more people that I don't know if you're going to double it, but you're going to help that post get even more followers and more engagement than it did. And that inevitably leads to you getting more followers in the process. So if you're trying to build up your following on Instagram, absolutely, I would say repost, but be choosy about what you repost. So I didn't realize this. I meant to connote when we were going from one subject to the next, and I didn't. But now we are at the point where I ask you, and these are rhetorical questions. You don't have to answer, but it's, I always ask people, how many of you are excited about this, and how many of you feel kind of overwhelmed? I personally feel a little bit overwhelmed myself because I didn't realize how much explanation I was going to do there. But don't feel too overwhelmed. I've got an offer here for you. We can go over this some more. So, September 18th, 2018 at Southtown Manor here in Olympia, I've got a book launch, which I want you to be a part of. This is not just a book launch, though. This is going to be a full-scale, multi-hour networking event. We have a special VIP experience with our guest speakers prior to the event kicking off. Then there's the event itself. This will be simulcasted on Facebook and Instagram. We have several sponsors, media sponsors, refreshment sponsors, venue sponsors, promotional sponsors, all included. It's going to be, if you were at the South Sound Business Showcase, this won't be too different from that, except for the format, which is mainly going to be people taking turns talking about how they met me, and then me talking about the book for about 20 minutes. But I say that to say, you get, if you choose to buy into this, you get an autographed pre-order copy, right? The very first copies of the book that come out. The printing is just being finished up, so you're going to get a copy of that. You'll also get access to the digital version, which you can get. I want to say we're going to have this on Audible as well as on Kindle. We're going to be able to do it through Amazon's platforms. So if you too busy to read at home at night and too busy to read on PDF during the day, you can listen to it in your car. You'll have that availability. You'll get one ticket to the launch, which you can upgrade to the VIP experience if you want to. You can, and then there's a worksheet that goes along with it, and you get this. This is my favorite part: the 1 hour strategy call session, coaching call session. I've had half a dozen of these now with people who bought the book already, and they are phenomenal. I mean, people are just getting left and right and center. They're getting good ideas. They're getting just a different angle is all it takes. An angle with some eyes that see things that you don't see. You're not looking at them right in the moment. That's what this does. So, who is this for? This is for you, if you're watching. This is for new entrepreneurs and professionals, and also for the seasoned and experienced. You've done things successfully. You've got established systems, but you're looking for another edge, maybe another angle you hadn't thought of, right? How are we going to do this? You get all this stuff. It's a $350 value. The books all go together. It's $30. The coaching call is $200. The ticket to the launch is $25. You can upgrade that. And the marketing goal sheet is $97. So that all goes for $352. But if you sign up today, you get it for $35. All of that. And you can check out the testimonial I had on my Instagram page today from several people who have bought the book already and had their coaching sessions and all that. I'm excited. I'm hopeful for the opportunity to do it with you as well. I just know from what I've experienced so far and what I experience in my own coaching sessions that I have with the people that coach me, that there's going to be things you haven't thought of and things that are just not on your radar because you're busy focused on your business. And I can help you see those things. So that's the offer. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I know it's a bit overwhelming, but if you take advantage of this, we can get more specific and more granular as to your particular business and how you can enhance the marketing experience, which is what we all want. We all want to widen out that funnel so that we have more and more prospects coming from more and more different directions. So thanks. I appreciate you and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Paul. Are there any, before we end the webinar today, are there any questions about the celebrity branding or branding on social media while we have Paul here? Feel free to, again, you can chat into the chat box, or if you would like to just unmute yourself, you are welcome to ask it verbally as well. Okay, no questions, and that's okay. If you think of any, please contact, did you put your contact information up there, Paul? I didn't see it.
No.
I will make sure to email that out to everybody, or you can also contact me with questions. I can get you in touch with Paul, or if it's a question for me. So later this afternoon, I'll send everybody an email with the recording of this, as well as all of the links and the information to reach out. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you everybody for being on here today. We appreciate your time and hope to see you next Wednesday.